Handshake and off we go. Pragg with the white pieces opens with c4. The English opening is on the board. Aravind plays pawn to e6. The knight comes out to c3. d5 Queen's Gambit declined with d4. And this is the same opening that Aravind used to beat Anish Giri at the Prague Masters. Arvind's basic philosophy is simple. Play simple openings, get a playable position, and then show your magic there in the middle game. Bishop f4, the bishop comes to a nice diagonal. Pawn comes up to c6, bolstering the center here. e3 played by Pragg. He wants to get his bishop out to d3, but before that, Aravind plays bishop f5. You don't want to trade the bishops, so knight e2, trying to get the knight to g3 to attack the bishop on f5. Knight comes out to f6. Very simple and steady development by both players. Knight to g3. Now if you drop your bishop back to g6, there could be ideas of h4, h5 which could be pretty strong. So Aravind goes back to e6. The downside of this move is that now white can get this diagonal under his control. He gets the bishop to d3. And Aravind castles it out. Now Pragg has 24 minutes 56 seconds here. And after quite a deep thought, he plays his knight to f5. After nearly 1.5 minutes, he's asking Aravind, do you want to give up this bishop or do you want to take on f5? He takes on f5, bishop takes f5, and now rook e8. The rook is standing opposite to the white king. Queen b3, putting pressure on the b7 pawn. And let's see what black plays here. Queen b6 played here by Aravind. And you know what Pragg has done here? He's kind of lured the queen out and now he himself goes back to c2. That's very interesting, the strategy. Knight d7 played. And now you can short castle, but hey, can we long castle? Pragg goes h4, trying to create inroads on the king side with h5, h6 or g4, g5. Many ideas in this position. Rook a d8, not the best move there by Aravind. He could have played maybe g6, maybe bishop b4, but rook d8, the idea is clear. He didn't want bishop d7, like he wanted to play c5, and he didn't want bishop d7 to lose a pawn on d5. Long castle played here by Pragg. And now pawn to c5, which is not a good move because it allows g4. This is a very, very powerful move here. Let's see if Pragg finds it. He plays it. Beautiful move there by Praggnanandhaa. He can next go g5, attacking the d5 pawn. Pawn takes pawn. Take it with the rook to attack the d5 pawn even further. And Pragg takes it. He's playing flawlessly here. And now Aravind in big trouble here at this point. And Aravind moves his bishop to b4, which is a huge blunder. Because now knight a4 wins the game. You attack the queen. If queen a5, you have bishop c7 here with a double attack. And if queen b5, you have bishop d3, queen a5, bishop c7. Pragg just has to find knight a4, but he doesn't. He plays g5. That's a big mistake by Pragg. He misses knight a4, which was just a very, very good move there. He would have won a piece. Bishop takes knight. Pawn takes by Pragg. And Aravind now has to do something about his knight. Yes, the white king looks a bit weak, but Aravind plays his knight into the center of the board. A very good move now is c4, but he goes f3, and this is a mistake because Aravind has a beautiful move. Knight takes c3. You can't take here because of rook c8, losing the queen. So he plays bishop d7. He's hoping for rook d7. Queen takes c3. There no rook comes to the c file then. But Aravind has knight e2 check. What a move. He's forked these pieces. Queen takes e2. And what's the next move now? What is he aiming for? Well, he's aiming for queen takes d4. A brilliant move. Now threatening queen a1 check. Picking up the rook on h1. And Praggnanandhaa in trouble. ed4. And the position has now become closer to equality than what it was. The bishop is hanging. The pawn is hanging here. He comes back bishop g4. And Aravind can chop off the pawn on a2. The dust is now settling. Let's take stock. By the way, there's a check threat and you lose the rook here. White has 2 bishops for black's rook and 2 pawns. Materially, white should be doing worse than black. I mean, black should be doing really well. However, these bishops are amazing pieces. You can't underestimate them. A check here, king d2, and now after the rook trade, it's black who's playing for the win, I believe, because b5, a5, just start pushing a5, a4, push the furthest pawn away. He goes rook e8. He's actually forcing the white king to go towards the queenside pawns, which is exactly what Pragg wants. f6 played here by Aravind, pawn takes pawn, and he puts his bishop on f5, keeping an eye on the h pawn. The bishops need 1 pawn in order to create a passer, but Aravind has already begun his journey of pushing his pawns here. Bishop goes to c7, further pushing the pawn ahead, and Aravind pushes a4, bishop d6, he stops pawn from coming to a3. Pawn to b5 played here. And now these pawns cannot move forward. But what is white going to do? Plays his bishop back to a3 here. And now king f7. If you take on h7, there's rook h8 and you lose this pawn. Pragg comes back, bishop d3. He attacks this pawn and this pawn here. Rook g8. Aravind is like, take this pawn if you want. I'm getting in from g2. Bishop takes b5, taken here. And Aravind Chidambaram gives a check on g2. White has to be super careful now. King c3. He's going to win these pawns here, but he's also going to lose his kingside pawns. Rook f2 played, attacking the f3 pawn with a check. And now Praggnanandhaa wants to pick up the pawn on a4. Yes, he takes it. Bishop takes a4. Rook takes f3 check. King b4 played. Now this bishop is defended, but Aravind goes king e6. He's coming in with his king. He can attack this pawn from rook f4. Can attack here. h5 played. The best move is rook h3. Plays f5. Oh, he's going with his f pawn down the board when white is completely uncoordinated. The time on the clock is 12 seconds for Pragg and 20 seconds for Aravind. Bishop c2, attacking the h7 pawn. He goes rook f1, attacking the bishop. Now bd2 is the only move to stay in the game. He plays it, bd2, f3. You push the pawn and Aravind pushes it. Now the only move is bishop h7. You need your own passer. But Pragg makes a mistake. He goes king c3. Rook h1 is winning the game now. Very important move. He finds it. And if you take bishop h7 here, f2, f1 is just winning. So here he goes bishop e3, stopping the pawn. But now you just take the pawn on h5. He's now 2 pawns up here. This is totally winning position for black. Aravind Chidambaram, from a totally lost position, has converted this into a winning game. What a game. King f5. He's coming in with his king here to g4. Again, the best move in the position. He goes bishop a4. Maybe he wants to give a check here. King g4 is a great move. Coming in king g3. Wow, this is over. Bishop f2, stopping king g3. Pragg is not someone who's going to give up easily. King h3. He's coming to g2. What a king. And he plays bishop e8, attacking the rook. Just save the rook h6. Yes, he plays rook h6. That's a great move. And now king g2. He goes bishop f7, attacking the pawn on d5, but it is not important there. The f pawn is the most important piece. Now king e3, so that no check is possible. Wow, bishop f7 enabled that. But rook a6 is a great move. He plays his rook to a6. Oh, he leaves it back on b6, a blunder, because now bd5, there's no rook b3 check. And look at Aravind there. He shakes his head, because if he had played rook a6, there was rook a3 check and Pragg would have had to resign. But now, it's a drawn position. It's incredible how the tables have turned and how Aravind simply missed that tactic there. I mean, it was not even a tactic. He just missed. It was a blind spot under time trouble. And now White has built a nice formation. The pawn is not rushing through. White pawn may start moving ahead. Aravind has to remain careful here. Down to 15 seconds. Pragg has 25 seconds. He pushes his pawn to d5. And Aravind pushes h5. The position is still equal, but I think Aravind is completely shaken up from that blunder that he made. He just can't recover. He has to go king h3 now. The only move to hold the game. He plays it. He needs to defend with all his might. Bishop e1 seems the likely move here by Praggnanandhaa. He plays it. He goes king g2, d6, plays rook d8. The final blunder here. Bishop f3. He gives up the pawn. And now it's all over. King h2. Just defend this pawn with bishop b4. Pragg going with his bishop. Plays bishop b4. Then brings it back. Well, this b and a file is very tricky. He finds the best move. Bishop a5. If you take here, bishop c7 pins the rook here. And the mate with two bishops is not so difficult. He gives a check. And now king f2 is over. Because after king f2, d7, d8 is coming. And what a turnaround. What a game this has been between Aravind and Pragg. Pragg apologizes to Aravind after that victory. And what a beautiful friendship they both share. Because right now in this game, it was just unbelievable what happened. First, Aravind completely lost. And there you see, I think Aravind telling about knight a4. First, it was Aravind who was completely lost. Then it was Pragg who was completely lost. He's saying rook a6. If I played rook a3, it would be over. I just made a mistake there with rook b3. And both of them discussing there with the smile. What a beautiful moment there. From playing